Right now, Mumbai's reservoirs are hovering at a critically low 10% capacity, enough water to last the city roughly 40 days. In neighboring Pune, local authorities have already initiated alternate day water supplies. To make matters worse, meteorologists are tracking a severe monsoon deficit. We are currently facing a 64% shortfall in expected rainfall across the country. Yet, if you look back just a few months, the streets of these exact same cities looked entirely different. Major financial and technology hubs, from Delhi to Bengaluru, were entirely submerged by deep floodwaters. Commutes turned into wading exercises, and entire neighborhoods essentially washed away. This pattern of a city drowning in May and running completely dry by April represents a manufactured disaster. Urban floods and severe droughts function as twin symptoms of the same disease, a vicious, self-reinforcing cycle of poor planning and resource mismanagement. The first node of this cycle begins with the erasure of natural drainage. Wetlands and local ponds historically acted as massive sponges for heavy rainfall. Instead of preserving them, we illegally dump hundreds of truckloads of construction debris directly into these ecological sinks. In Mumbai's Wadala area, a wetland was recently flattened for a parking lot, paving the way for heavy, glass facade skyscrapers that mimic Western architecture. When you seal the earth completely under useless concrete, rainwater has absolutely nowhere to absorb. By destroying our wetlands and paving over the soil, we ensure that every heavy downpour translates immediately into a devastating surface flood. Because that rainwater rapidly runs off the concrete and into storm drains, the underground water tables are never recharged. As a result, millions of residents and businesses are forced to drill deeper into the earth, relying on unregulated borewells. This triggers a sociological trap known as the tragedy of the commons. Individuals continually extract a shared resource, assuming the supply is infinite, placing their immediate personal needs over the long-term survival of the community. This cross-section diagram shows the damage underground. Without any institutional or residential rainwater harvesting to put surface water back into the soil, dozens of individual pipes suck a single localized water table completely dry. Taking water out without ever putting it back permanently breaks the localized water cycle. When local wells run dry, desperation kicks in. This forces entire neighborhoods to rely on an expensive, destructive external force, the commercial tanker mafias. These unregulated suppliers extract water illegally from ecologically sensitive areas, like the riverbeds of the Yamuna. Because they get this resource essentially for free, they do not treat it with care, routinely losing 20 to 30% of their cargo through leaky tanks before ever reaching a destination. While this happens at the local level, government policies compound the crisis on a macro scale by heavily subsidizing the cultivation of sugarcane. Sugarcane is incredibly water-intensive, and much of it is being grown not for food, but to produce ethanol fuel. Using vast amounts of agricultural water to grow fuel in a country that already overproduces sugar makes zero economic or ecological sense, especially when we could be prioritizing localized biogas instead. This completed flowchart illustrates the full trap. We pave over natural water sinks, drain our local groundwater dry, allow mafias to exploit the rivers, and waste whatever is left on destructive agricultural policies. To break this cycle, we have to drop the collective, not my problem mentality. There is a Marathi proverb that translates to wanting the hero Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj to be born, but only in the neighbor's house. We all want the system fixed, but no one wants to shoulder the responsibility. Fixing the system requires serious institutional changes. Municipalities must mandate and strictly enforce rainwater harvesting infrastructure in all new residential complexes and industrial zones. We also need to treat wastewater recycling as an economic asset. The city of Surat is already doing this, earning 140 crore rupees annually simply by treating sewage water and selling it to local industries. This highlights a solution for the individual level. Simply installing a cheap aerator on your kitchen tap reduces the flow rate from 15 liters a minute down to 3. Over a 10-minute dishwashing session, you cut water waste from 150 liters down to just 30. That is water saved for the rest of the week. There are other immediate behavioral changes you can make. Reuse the runoff from your RO filter or the condensation from your AC unit to mop the floor or flush toilets. Swap out a 100-liter shower for a 25-liter bucket bath. Securing our future requires treating water as a finite, strictly managed utility. By holding our institutions and ourselves accountable, we can break the vicious cycle and reclaim our cities.